Hello, everybody. Happy blessed Friday. I pray that all is well with everyone. I hope you're enjoying your evening. I haven't been on in 3 days, and so my apologies to all of my faithful listeners who listen and tune in to the channel that God has entrusted me with. I have been gone for exactly about 3 days, but I wanted to share with you, not that I have to, but I just feel, when someone's faithfully, tuning in and listening to what God has to say, sometimes I feel like, you owe it to your listeners to either, have them engage with prayer, to pray for you, or just to lock in and continue forward. So a week ago, I put out a video that my son had gotten shot, but I deleted the video because I was some of the wordings and some of the info. I just thought, nah, I shouldn't have said this, I shouldn't have said that, and I just felt like I was just a little bit too discreet. But so my son had an accident last week, over a week ago. It was on the 3rd, and he fell asleep. He kind of, how you just kind of plop, you fall on your bed. He had his gun on him I believe in his pocket, and he just forgot to put it away. And so when he laid back, and of course the detectives confirmed this with deep investigation, they're going to get down to the bottom of this to make sure no one was involved or someone tried to hurt him. They're gonna make sure, was this self-inflicted? Was it, by accident, or did someone do it? And so they did get down to the bottom of that. They do their footwork. They look at the range of the gun when it was shot and the angle of the person. They're deep. They're gonna get to the bottom of it. And of course, when this accident happened, they discovered he laid on the gun, and it just went pow, it exploded. It went through his back and into two major organs, which was the colon and the intestines. And so, somehow, by the grace of God, he called 911 and made it down the stairs so he could open the door for the paramedics, and of course the police showed up at some point. So they took him to the hospital, discovered he had to have a major surgery right away, and so he was stable. We did not know that he was there for 24 hours. So this happened on the 3rd. We didn't find out until the 4th, the next day, that he was even in the hospital. So imagine being in the hospital, and I'm sure he was probably sedated. Excuse me. So, to make a long story short, I'm trying to shorten this as much as possible. But, so we found out the next day through just having, a discernment through a friend of his that came by. He was worried about him, and he said, he couldn't get in touch with him. He hadn't heard from him in a while. And, so then a light bulb just came on in our heads. So we ended up going to the police station, to find out if something had occurred and where he was. And so finally we got down to the bottom of it. I guess they were probably trying to, the investigation was still open, so they were kind of tight-lipped. They didn't want to give us too much information because they didn't really know if we were family or not, but we did give them our information, phone numbers, ID or whatever. And so they told us he was in the hospital. He was in the main hospital, and because he was a shotgun victim, they would, the hospital would not give us any information up front. They protect them very well, because if someone had been involved in real life, then they would have been protected. They could not have gotten to them to finish the job. Okay. So during that point after surgery, the investigation was still open. So he made it through that surgery, and he ended up coming home Tuesday. So he's been here with us, even though he has his own place. We just, want to watch over him and When it was a major surgery. So he's like stapled from the top of his stomach to the bottom. So, and the back, and so you're doing what a mother does. I've been the doctor, I've been the nurse, I've been the transporter, driver, you name it. I'm totally exhausted. So that was Tuesday. He came home. Then by yesterday, a staple popped out, and needless to say, without being grotesque, infection was seeping through. And so 4 a.m. in the morning, I had to drive him back to the ER. The only mistake we made is going to the ER that's close to where we live instead of going to the hospital where he should have went for treatment. And so they said, well, you shouldn't be here. You should be at the other trauma unit hospital where, he had the surgery. So we were there like a good 4 hours before an ambulance transported him to the proper facility to get, treated. So we ended up in the ER for another 4 hours there before they got him a regular room. So they said, we're keeping him for a couple of days. We're going to treat him. Thankfully, my sister stepped in. I was so exhausted. She laid hands on my son and she prayed. The Holy Ghost showed up, y'all. Showed up, showed out. I even got a jolt in my spirit of the Holy Ghost, okay? And she prayed over my son and, prayed healing over him. Thank God he did not have to have surgery, and I would believe it's because she lifted him up in prayers, okay? Holy Ghost showed up now. So she's like, do you feel heat? And he's like, yeah. She said, yeah, that's the Holy Ghost moving. I give God all glory, honor, praises, and God really moved, y'all. So, and to prove it, he didn't have to have surgery, but when he went up to his room, the doctor came in with a couple of nurses and they had to make an incision to release the infection. And that was a big eye opener. It was painful. No anesthetic, because he said no anesthetic would be able to help this. So he bravely, thank God he didn't scream, but he made it through. By the grace of God, he didn't have to go under, anesthesia to go, into surgery for them to clean out everything, because that would have been a whole another ball game. But he is under observation for the next 2 days because the doctor is concerned about upper infection, because where the stable was, it was lower. And that's where the doctor made the incision. And so he's worried, he's just concerned, keeping an eye on him, that the infection doesn't spread to the upper part of the stomach. Without being grotesque, I think I detailed this very, very, neatly without grossing anyone out. So on that note, that's where that is. I greatly appreciate your prayers, for you faithful prayer warriors who do pray for me. And I know you do, because sometimes I feel you in the spirit. And I thank God for you. And I'm asking for your prayers that he would make it through this and come out on top in Jesus' mighty name. And thank you so much for all you do to pray for me. Sometimes you don't even tell me you pray for me, but some of you do pray for me. And I thank you so much. And to God be all the glory for what he's already done. And thanks for lifting me up and my family as well. Thank you so much. God bless you. I love you all. Continue to stay tuned for the next video. God bless you and shalom. I have been up since 4 a.m. this morning with no sleep. I came home at 5:30 when I left the hospital. And so I'm hopefully wanting to get a good night's rest after midnight. So I'm trying to get as much out as possible in Jesus' mighty name. Thank you for listening and tuning in. God bless you. Shalom.